Hello, everyone. Time for chapters 21 and 22 of Raymie Nightingale. They're heading into the nursing home to get that book. Of course, we know that Beverly Topinski is the brave one, and so they've gathered her in Louisiana, and they're going to see if they can get that book back for Raymie. All of this because she needs to do a good deed, and that really hasn't gotten done yet, has it? Chapter 21. The common room was entirely empty. The floor was shining, but in an ordinary kind of way. The piano was silent. There were several scraggly ferns hanging from the ceiling and an unfinished jigsaw puzzle on a small table in the center of the room. The box of the puzzle was propped up to show what the picture would be when the puzzle was done, a covered bridge in autumn. Well, said Martha, I have to return to my station. Maybe you three would like to take it from here and go down to Isabel's room and knock on her door and see if she would like visitors. Now remember, they're not really going to Isabel's room. They're going to the other lady's room to get that book. Okay, said Raymie. Thank you very much, said Beverly in the same terrifyingly polite voice she had used before. I like this room, said Louisiana. You could dance on this floor. You could put on a show here. Well, said Martha, I suppose you could. There's not a lot of dancing here. And I don't believe that we ever have had a show, but perhaps someday, who knows? Martha shook her head, and then she clapped her hands. Okay, girls, you just head down the hallway, Raymie. You know which door is Isabel's. Raymie nodded. She knew which door was Alice Nebley's. That was what mattered. Right, said Beverly, when Martha was gone. Which room? It's this way, said Raymie. Beverly and Louisiana followed her down the hallway, and as they got closer, they heard it. Take my hand, screamed Alice Nebley. Oh, my goodness, said Louisiana. Let's go back. Let's not do it. Shut up, said Beverly. Louisiana caught up to Raymie and took her hand, and Raymie had the strange thought that holding on to Louisiana's hand was like holding the paw of one of the ghost bunnies on her barrettes. She wasn't even there. But still, it was comforting for some reason to have Louisiana's hand in hers. Take my hand, shouted Alice Nebley again. Just get out of the way, said Beverly. She pushed past Raymie and Louisiana and marched right into Alice Nebley's room without knocking. Raymie could see that the room was dark, as it had been before, as dark as a cave, as dark as the grave. She went into the room, said Louisiana to Raymie. Yes, said Raymie, she did. They stood together in the hallway and stared at the dark outline that was Beverly Topinski. She was standing right next to the bed. Arrgh! Screamed Alice Nebley, and both Louisiana and Raymie jumped. It's under the bed, called Raymie. I know that, said Beverly from inside the darkness. You told me that 1,000 times. If there's one thing I know, it's where the stupid book is supposed to be. Raymie saw the dark form of Beverly duck down and disappear. There's no book under here, said Beverly's muffled voice a minute later. There has to be, said Raymie. It's not there, said Beverly. Her shadowy form reappeared. It's not anywhere in here. I don't know. Who knows what old people do with books? Maybe she ate it or is lying on top of it. And then, instead of coming back out of the room, Beverly moved closer to Alice Nebley's bed. Never mind, called Raymie. Leave it alone. Come back. She was suddenly afraid that Beverly might do something drastic and unpredictable, like try to pick up Alice Nebley and look underneath her. Arrgh! Screamed Alice Nebley. I cannot stand the pain. Oh, no, said Louisiana. It's too terrible. She can't stand the pain. I can't stand the pain of her not standing the pain. She squeezed Raymie's hand so hard that it hurt. Take my hand, screamed Alice Nebley. And then, just like before, a skinny arm came out from underneath the covers as if it were emerging from a grave. Louisiana screamed, and Raymie let out a whimper. And in Alice Nebley's dark and tragic room, Beverly stood quietly without moving or jumping at all, and then suddenly, slowly, she reached out and took hold of the hand. Oh, said Louisiana, she took the hand. Now that woman is going to pull Beverly into the grave. She's going to kill her and use her to fashion a new soul. Raymie had not imagined any of these gruesome outcomes in particular, but she did feel a very deep sense of dread. No, no, said Louisiana, I can't stand and watch. She dropped Raymie's hand. I'm going to go and find someone to help. Don't, said Raymie. But Louisiana was gone, running down the hallway, her sequin dress glowing and glittering in a purposeful way. Raymie stood alone, watching as Beverly, still holding Alice Nebley's hand, sat down on the bed. Shh, said Beverly. Alice Nebley stopped screaming. It will be okay, said Beverly, and then, incredibly, she started to hum. What was Beverly Topinski, the safe cracker, the lock picker, the gravel beater, doing sitting on Alice Nebley's bed, holding her hand, telling her it would be okay, and humming to her. It didn't seem possible. And then Louisiana was standing next to Raymie again. Her small chest was rising and falling. A wheezy sound was issuing from her lungs. "I found it," she said. "What?" said Raymie. "I found it. I found your Florence What's-it book." "Nightingale," said Raymie. "Yes," said Louisiana. "Nightingale. Nightingale. It's in the janitor's office. I went in there to see if the janitor would help Beverly fight the goblin. And then, surprise, I found the book. Also, I let the bird go." "What bird?" said Raymie. "That little yellow bird in the cage in the janitor's office." At this point, someone somewhere in the Golden Glen screamed, and it wasn't Alice Nebley. "I had to climb up on top of the desk to do it," said Louisiana. "And then I had to leave in a hurry, so I forgot your book. I don't think that birds should be in cages, do you?" There was another scream and the sound of running feet. Beverly came out of Alice Nebley's room. "What happened?" she said. "I'm not sure," said Raymie. "I found the book," said Louisiana. A small yellow bird came whizzing down the hallway and sailed over their heads. "Was that a bird?" asked Beverly. In her room, Alice Nebley was completely silent. Raymie hoped that she wasn't dead. Chapter 22. The janitor came running down the hallway. His keys were jangling and his janitor boots were making a very authoritative sound as they hit the polished floor of the Golden Glen. The janitor had a determined look on his face. He didn't seem at all like a man who would play mournful music on the piano. His fingers were too thick. Also, he didn't look very much like someone who would own a yellow bird. "Oh," said Louisiana, "hurry, follow me." Louisiana led them right down the hallway. "In here," she said, "right there." She pointed at the small room with the door open. Inside the room there was a desk, and right in the center of the desk was a bright and shining path, the life of Florence Nightingale. "Is that it?" asked Beverly. "Is that your stupid library book?" Above the desk there was a bird cage rocking back and forth. It was empty. The little door in the cage was open. Something about the open door on the cage made Raymie feel sad. At home right now, Raymie's mother was probably sitting on the couch staring into space. Mrs. Borkowski was probably in her lawn chair in the middle of the road, and Mrs. Sylvester was surely at her desk typing the giant jar of candy in front of her, trembling slightly from the hum and clatter of the electric typewriter. And Raymie's father? Maybe he was sitting in the diner with the dental hygienist. Maybe they were both holding menus. Maybe they were thinking about what they might order. Did her father think about her? What if he had already forgotten her? Those were the questions Raymie wanted to ask somebody, but there wasn't anyone to ask. "Why are you just standing there?" said Beverly. "Are you going to get that book or not?" "Well, my goodness," said Louisiana, "I will get the book." She ran into the janitor's office and grabbed Florence Nightingale off the desk and ran back out. From somewhere in the Golden Glen there came another scream. "I think we should go now," said Louisiana. "That's a good idea," said Beverly, and the three of them started to run.